Welcome to the Daughter Arise channel. My name is Yvonne and this channel is all about bringing you content to do with childhood sexual abuse. On this channel I share things to do with my experience of going through this childhood abuse. I also share news stories and add my thoughts and commentary to them. And also from time to time, when I'm fortunate enough, I do interview other survivors and their supporters in hopes of raising awareness of this childhood abuse. So if this is the type of content you're looking for, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, so that you can be notified of any new uploads. And if you do like the content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. So today, guys, I'm reading to you another entry based from my ebook called The Journey. I wrote this ebook back in 2017 as a way of taking the reader through an A to Z journey of my journey, basically. It is my journey to healing, things that I learned along the way. And what I've done is to use the journey in a way of doing it in A to Z format to show you different things that I've picked out from my journey. So today, guys, I'm reading from the letter J, and it's about justice. Now, for me, I'm going to be honest with you, I never received justice for what my dad did to me. And for many years, I was very, very angry about this fact. I go into a lot of detail about it in my autobiography, which was released in 2010 called Daughter Arise. And I will leave links to the resources down below. But I talked about how I felt that I went through all of that for nothing. I was the one in speaking out about what my dad did to me once I found the courage after 5 years, because I didn't have a name for what he was doing. And when I found a name for what he was doing, I had the courage to speak out after 5 years of being sexually abused by my father, only to end up living in government care, council care system, for the next 5 years, with no justice, with no kind of resolution for what had happened to me. And I was angry for a very, very long time about the fact that I didn't have any justice. I had, real anger towards the system. I had real anger towards my parents. I was just really angry inside. It really felt like a huge injustice to me, the fact that there was physical evidence, because I had to go and be seen by a child paediatrician and had to undergo a medical examination that showed damage to the lower regions, and that was put on my record as actual sexual abuse. I also had to go through to see a psychiatrist and go through therapy and stuff. And I was, diagnosed as having PTSD and depression at 13 years old. And all the professionals that were involved in my case when I was in care, my first initial child protection conference, all were in agreement that I had gone through actual childhood sexual abuse. Yet, when my case got taken up by the CPS, and this was going like late 1988, early 1989, they said whilst there was evidence that I had gone through childhood sexual abuse, it wouldn't be enough to secure a conviction. One of the things that was mentioned was because the room had been cleared out. And back then, as I've mentioned in other videos, from speaking to a child protection detective in the police, they said back then it would more have been seen as a your word against mine type of scenario. So it felt to me a real injustice that I didn't get justice for what my dad did to me. And I've had to learn to live with that over the years. And I didn't do really well in the early years of my life accepting that. From the age of 13 to about 21, 22, I spent a lot of time acting out and expressing my anger that way, and my pain as well from going through childhood sexual abuse. And, it made me depressed to feel that, something so tragic, something so traumatic happened to me, and yet my dad would escape not being held accountable by the police or the courts. He was interviewed. He denied it. Obviously, he was going to deny it. But it just felt to me a really, really, horrible thing that wasn't addressed because I couldn't get justice. I had to deal with a lot of things after going through that. But one of the things I've noticed with a lot of other survivor stories is that, it's very rare for survivors to get justice. Doing this work with Daughter Arise has shown me that You know, I wasn't alone in not getting justice through the police and courts. Um, it's been a very small percentage, you know, probably only about probably 10% of victims I know that actually got justice, where it's they've gone to the police, it's gone through the criminal justice system, and the person's been sentenced. I think justice does depend on many factors. And I think that if you are on your journey to healing from childhood sexual abuse, you have to possibly face the reality that if you do choose to go to the police to try and get justice for what has happened to you, you might not get it. It's a very real possibility. Unfortunately, that seems to be the way that it goes. You never know which cases will, you know, what factors in which case are going to be enough for it to go to, you know, court where the perpetrator is being charged. But you can't allow whether you get justice or not to, you know, destroy your life. And because I know what that is like, I had to make a decision to say that I know what happened to me. I know what my dad did to me. And regardless of whether I get justice or not, I know the truth of that. And because I knew the truth of that, I had to find a way to deal with that. And I did that through therapy. I did that through healing, through prayer with God. I did that through just understanding that even with what has happened to me, there are certain things outside of my control. And justice is one of those things. Now, on your journey to healing, it is important for you to take this in and continue on your journey to healing. Continue to do the things that you need to do in order to be able to embrace your pain, to be able to embrace your experience. And as I've mentioned on other videos, it does take a long time to go through that process. But you can't allow whether you will get justice or not make you feel that that will determine whether you will heal or not. You have to find a way of making it not okay. You have to find a way of being able to navigate through your journey without feeling that it's all dependent upon whether you get justice or not. And, you know, for a lot of survivors as well, there are those that don't choose to get justice and they live in the silence of that. And that's not something I would recommend either. Either way, whether you're seeking justice or not, I would say to find a way to express your feelings, express how you feel about your experience of going through childhood abuse, and find a way to be able to get help and support to be able to deal with the aftermath of it. Now, for me, even though I haven't got justice in the systems of this land, the court systems, there was an opportunity probably when Jimmy Savile came out, when everything came out with Jimmy Savile, you know, back in 2011 and stuff, where loads of adult victims were coming forward. And, you know, that's how the independent inquiry into childhood sexual abuse came about. You know, there were loads of people that were coming forward that were saying they were abused in institutions, boarding schools, churches, all that stuff. And, you know, adult victims, some from the 60s, 70s, 80s, all started to come out and share their experiences. Some got prosecution of the perpetrator, those you know, that voiced it. Others didn't. And somebody asked me the question back then in 2011, you know, would I go back to the police again? And at that point I said no. And the reason I said no was because I had been dealing with sexual abuse up until this point from 1986 to 1986, 1987 to 2011. I had gone through hell dealing with that. And my life was now at a point now where I had finally been open about it. I had become settled in life. My depression had lessened. So many things. And I seriously sat and I thought about it. And I thought, I do not want to put myself back in this again. It took me so long to come out of it. And besides that, I found other ways to get justice. I was now, you know, running an organisation, which I'm still running now because I'm the founder of Daughter Rise, to help others to process their experiences. I was and I'm still doing talks about my experiences in universities and other settings like churches, sharing my experiences. And through all these different things that I've been doing, through writing my book as well, my first book, Daughter Eyes, I feel that I have been able to get a form of justice, because I have been able to empower those with things that I didn't know when I was going through my journey. I've been able to equip and give knowledge to future social workers and other people who are now working with children who have been affected by childhood sexual abuse. And I remember being told to shut up about my story and not to talk about it by people who were associated with my family back when I was young. And I refuse to shut up and not talk about my story. My justice is now helping others get justice, helping others to express their story. So that is really what I wanted to share with you today, guys. You know, you may not be able to get justice through the courts of this land, but do continue on your journey to healing from your experiences and understanding your experiences of childhood sexual abuse. Justice can come about in other ways as well, as I've shared. You know, I am at peace with the fact that God will deliver the ultimate justice to my father for what he did to me. And I can have peace with that and continue on with my life. So that is what I want to share with you today. And the Bible scripture I want to share with you in terms of justice comes from Romans 12:19. It says, "Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave wrath to God. For it is written, vengeance is mine and I will repay, says the Lord." I totally and honestly believe that the living God will repay my father for what he has done to me, those that helped him to cover up what he did to me. So I don't need to take up this battle anymore. I continue now to help others on their journey. So that is it for this entry, guys. I will see you on another video again. Take care.